This story is a work of fiction created for narrative and artistic enjoyment. The silver note from Five did not fade. It held an umbilical thread of pure sound piercing the bubble of silence, not to invade it, but to define its boundary. In the void, it must have felt like sensing, for the first time, the skin that separates its nothingness from the something of the world. The flickering concept of echo repeated in its mind, no longer as a question, but as a new and unsettling fact. The drawing on the pole, the spasmodic imitation of a spyless scraping vanished. In its place, the rusted surface seemed to densify. It was not a pattern. It was a texture of pure attention. Aimed first at the point where the sound entered, and slowly toward the still, seated figure of 8. The pressure of her ears shifted. It was no longer the vacuum that drained will. It was a vacuum scrutinizing. They felt the entity moving through her not like a scanner, but like a blind person trying to understand the shape of a new piece of furniture in a familiar room. It searched for fear, panic, the fuel of its own loop. Instead, it found a watchful calm, an ancient sadness over Ethan's loss, and a deliberate focus, a rhythmic breathing, the heartbeat, the simple fact of being present. And the silence spoke for the third time, not by implanting a concept, but by reflecting a sensation. 8 felt, deep in her own body, a phantom of encapsulated despair. The absolute cold of being the only thing in existence, the flat and endless horizon. The certainty that no gesture, no scream, would ever alter the nothingness. It was the pure essence of isolation and trauma. It was not an attack. It was a confession. The void was showing her the only thing it was, the only thing it had ever been, the only thing it knew how to be. And by doing so, by the mere act of sharing its truth, it ceased to be completely isolated. 8 did not console it. She did not say, "I'm sorry." That would have been noise, a gesture in a language the entity did not understand. Instead, she did something more radical. She accepted the confession. She allowed the phantom despair to inhabit her own body for a moment, without judgment, without trying to transform it. She gave it hospitality. The response was immediate. The edge of the silent stone, which had been advancing steadily, stopped. The death of the third snail, seemingly imminent, did not occur. The silence remained, but it ceased to expand. It withdrew, like an animal crouching, watching. From outside, the utter clairs of the line, defined by Sterling's instruments, stopped moving. Roscoe held her breath. 3 clutched her living hands. That sustained the note cold sweat on her brow. Inside, 8 knew she had reached the limit of what she could do alone. Presence was a beginning, but real dialogue required more than one voice. And she remembered the entity's words. Rage cannot bear. Lo, it was not just a memory of collapse. It was a warning. This void, this trauma, was a failure point in the resonance bridge Ethan had become. If it grew too large, it would collapse the unification, not through violence, but through structural failure, through forgetting. With extreme slowness, 8 began to stand. She did not turn her back on the pole. She moved sideways, keeping herself visible to the void, and stepped back out of the silent dome. It was not a retreat. It was an invitation.